Hello, boys. How you doing, boys? It's me, Big Billis. So I want to cover my Rift Paladin again. I covered it not too long ago, like early in the year, I think in like April. I don't feel like I did the build justice, and I just wanted to, bring it to everyone's attention again that this build is sick. So I'm going to go through stat, skills, and gear, and then I'll kind of show it off. Out of the Rift builds that I have tried on different characters so far, I think this is one of the best. Obviously, the Rift Kick Assassin is pretty sweet as well. That's something I have yet to dive into and actually cover in a video. But I do quite like this one, and I just want to show you guys again what we got. Okay, so stat, skills, and gear, and then we'll dive in and show a few decent areas. Okay, so Rift, we're obviously getting frozen orbs from Rift in a Caduceus. What's cool about this is we can, you need to kind of make an interceptor, really, for the Rift. Other than that, you've got a polearm as a base, but bugger that. But benefiting Caduceus, we can, kind of pick and choose which plus skills we want for the base, which is very niche. So we went for +3 conviction because we are self-wielding that, so we can save points, maximize the minus res, because that is going to how we're kind of buffing up the frozen orb. Strength is only base 60. We are using Enigma to teleport round. You don't need to use Enigma. You can put something else with facets, that's fine. But for this sake, that is what we are using. Dexterity is a little bit higher to get max block because we do have Holy Shield. Okay, so that's up to 75. Our shield of choice is the following. So we've got block rate and chance to block on a jeweler's shield, which is kind of crazy. Okay, but we'll get into our gear later and some alternatives you guys can choose that are not as crazy as that. Everything else we're going to put into Vitality. We are not using CTA with this. Instead, we're using Hustle on Switch. We're going to be proccing Burst of Speed, so then when we switch back to our Caduceus, which has no, static attack speed roll on that rune word, we can hit over 5 hits per second and proc more frozen orbs, because that is the goal, okay? So, skills. As I showed before, we have Conviction as our main aura, so we get +3 from that Caduceus base, which is nice, so we can save a little bit. But I put in more than I need to there anyway, so bugger it, The rest are kind of 1-point wonders. I put one into Holy Shock as an accident, so don't do that. Combat skills. We have Holy Shield is maxed out. We've got Charge, which we can utilize for moving around if you're not using Enigma. And I've got my Zeal maxed out with Sacrifice as the synergy. Okay, I would definitely go for Zeal first because you get attack rating per level. Sacrifice just adds the damage on top per level. Okay. Defensive auras, I just have a few excess points in Defiance to bump my defense up as a synergy to Holy Shield. Okay, so to finish off the gear, okay, in more depth, we've got Rift in the Caduceus, +3 conviction. You can choose whatever plus skills you want on here, that's convenient, but for this sake, I have kind of opted for maining conviction, so we don't need the +3 or not, it's kind of negligible. If you guys change it around so you're using Fanaticism maybe as your main, then a +3 Fanaticism aura would be fine and very good to amp up, and you can run an Infinity Mercenary. That's completely up to you on what you'd like to do, but that is a viable version. If you guys want to see it, then I can cover that in the future. Let me know in the comments. The rest of the gear, we have Night Wings. Okay, this is pretty obvious. You see this around a lot of cold off-meta builds of mine and others. So you've got -5, +5 facet to round that up to a +20. Plus skills are helpful. High Lords for attack speed, deadly strikes, sufficient physical damage is important so we can leech from our Drax. Okay, Drax are very vital in this build, in my opinion, because we're not using CTA on Switch. Instead, we've got Drax to help sustain that life pool instead of just bumping up the percent with battle orders. My shield is a jeweler's shield. It's a little bit ridiculous, I know, but you don't necessarily need that. That would be a perfect alternatives. The other options you can go for, which are more budget, are the following. You've got Griswold's Honor, 1 less socket, very good base stats, defense, and all res. Okay, very nice budget option. There's not much point in kind of pairing that with other pieces of gear, since the set bonuses are pretty minuscule for the helm and the chest, but if you're not using Enigma, you can simply put facets in the Griswolds and benefit from their strength. okay? That's an option. Another one is just getting a decent base shield with 4 sockets and resistances. Something like this, and putting your odd, just, mid-roll facets in there to bump it up. That's absolutely fine as well, okay? For this sake, we're going to keep the Duelist one on. Now, to finish off the gear, we've got Gore Riders for more melee, okay? We've got 10 FCR attack rating and Mana Leech and Res. This is just ideal stats that you'd want to lock in, whether it's 2 of 3, whether it's 1 or whatever. That's just a good placeholder to give you an idea of the stats you would want in that spot. Arachnid Mesh, we have Ravenfrost, and then down here for the skillers, we've got Max Life, because max damage is giving us more bang for our buck right now, and then we've got Life and Res, Torch, and a Cold Sunder. Now, here's where it gets a little bit different on Switch. I mentioned I am using the Hustle. On this, we have opportunity to still benefit a decent Pally CTA base type that you would see, which is Redemption, Vigor, and Cleansing, or Meditation, things like that to save skill points. So I found that kind of interesting. So we're going to be using that to proc Burst of Speed, which lasts 90 seconds, okay, at level 1. That's going to give us 5.21 hits per second with our Zeal when we switch back. Now, just to pair with that, I've got Spirit that helps to bump up just that cast rate and decent stats across the board, so we can teleport around with Enigma, okay? Now, on the Mercenary, as you can see, we run Conviction, she runs the Fanaticism. So she's got Grand Matron Bow, Treachery for more attack speed, and then Andes. You can change this out to a Fortitude if you would like. That's an absolutely fine option. You kind of choose what you'd like to. So, gameplay, I'm going to sit at P3, and let's go over to a few different areas. How about we go to Inner Cloister to start off? So, Holy Shield is 29 on Switch since we have Spirit, so we'll cast that up, and we'll get our Burst of Speed up first. Sometimes your Burst of Speed will proc instantly, and sometimes you're just unlucky and it might take a little bit of time. But there you go. What was that, maybe 20 seconds or less? Now we can switch back, and we can have fun with our Frozen Orbs. We do have the tornadoes that proc as well, which are kind of fun to see. They don't do too much damage, I'm not too worried. We're really focusing on the frozen orbs to do most of our damage here. When we're up in the meat of things, the life tap from Drax is very necessary when we go to more wild areas where there's more elements spread around, so I would highly recommend that if you're not using a CTA. But again, you don't have to, right? So if we did put CTA on Switch and we went for just, different gloves, we can, have room to change that round. And, we could do blood-crafted gloves with attack speed would be fine and reach up to 4.4 APS. But that's, you guys can choose what you'd like to do there. Let's go over to Canyon and we'll check out the tombs again. I think I did a little bit of tombs on my last run. We'll keep it on Players 3. For the time being. So satisfying seeing all the orbs. So good. Brings me back to when I was testing the Rift Barbarian. I really do like this rune word. It's difficult to get going in certain builds, but the ones where it can shine a little bit, it is pretty decent, I would say. Obviously the Assassin is probably top of the list in terms of, just decent Rift builds. I'd say the Barbarian is definitely lower on the list, and this Pally would be close to the top in terms of ability. let's finish off this little pack in the corner, and then we'll go find somewhere else we can go. Now, I can't remember if Mephisto has high res or not, but that's somewhere where we can try. I'm going to take this down to play 1. Play 1. I'm going to go to Trav, and then we'll go find Mephisto. Since we have life tap, fortitude on the mercenary is a great option for her to just leech more when she's attacking. So definitely consider that if you're going forward with this build. Nice. Right, let's find Mephisto and let's finish this thing off. Damn, that's level 1, boys. I messed up. There we go. Alright, let's get that burst of speed proc up again real quick. Here we go, got it. Alright, let's do it. Jeez. If you have enough leech, chuck on Laying of Hands, I reckon. Just for help farming different areas. Alright, let's do it, boys. Shattered. There you go. That's it. Another video on the Rift Barbarian. Consider it. If you boys want to see the Self-Fanaticism and Infinity Mercenary variant, and we can see if that's any good, and compare the two, then let me know down below and we'll try that out sometime. See you, boys.